Today we're going to be training shoulders. This is a complete shoulder workout, so we're going to be hitting the front, the lateral, and the rear delts. But today we're going to focus a little bit more on those lateral and those rear delts. The reason for this is if you're training total body or if you're training chest on a separate day, you're hitting those front delts quite often. And we have a tendency to train what we can see and kind of neglect the stuff that we can't see. So in training the lateral and the rear delts just a little bit more, you're able to build width across the upper body. You're also able to create that roundness in those rear delts, which ties so nicely into the back. Creating width across your upper body is going to help give that illusion of a smaller waist. If you have very muscular legs, it looks so nice when you have that width across the upper body to balance the upper with the lower body. So without further ado, let's train. The first exercise is a Smith machine Z press. This is one of my favorite shoulder exercises right now, and it's great for building overall shoulder strength and for shoulder stability. By taking your lower body out of the equation, which is essentially what you're doing by sitting on the floor, you're turning this into an exercise that's purely upper body strength and core stabilization. So sit almost directly under the bar with your legs extended out in front of you. Arms are going to be about twice shoulder width. And as you lower the bar, think about leaning back just a little bit and then come forward just a little bit with the upper body as you press. Keep those elbows underneath the bar. And as far as range of motion goes, you can go to parallel with your upper arms, or you can go as deep as I'm going. The weight is not really heavy for me, so I typically will extend that range of motion when the weight is lighter. As you go heavier, you want to go to about parallel with those upper arms. The next exercise is a landmine lateral raise. Now, if you don't have the landmine set up, just go ahead and put the bar right in a sturdy corner, just like I did. It works great. Now for this exercise, this bar is pretty heavy, so it's 45 pounds, the Olympic bar. If it's too heavy, go ahead and choke up on the bar just a little bit. So hold it closer to center. Here, think about making a sweeping motion with your hand. So I'm thinking about pressing that bar up and away. So it's definitely a push cue, it's not a lift cue. And the bar is going to lower right across the front of my hips, and then I'm going to press it up and away. This is fantastic for hitting those lateral delts and the rear delts. Now when you switch, make sure your grip, your stance, everything is even on the other side. And you're going to mirror that motion that you did on the first arm and do exactly the same on the left arm. So this modified lateral raise is awesome for hitting those side or lateral delts and those rear delts. And try to keep your body as still as possible. Exhale on the way up and control the bar on the way down. And you want to try to keep that lever as long as possible. So I'm trying to keep that arm as long as possible and not bending so much at the elbow. The next exercise is face pulls. And this is great for hitting those rear delts. This is done from a high pulley, but with face pulls, you can do from a pulley at mid forehead height, or you can do one from the lowest cable if you'd like. So you're not really limited to heights, but what I would like you to focus on is keeping your elbows high, keeping that weight nice and light. So the rear delts are a very small muscle, and when you're doing something that the lats or the traps could take over, you want to make sure that the weight is light enough to hit just those delts, but obviously heavy enough to train the delts. Here I'm using a slow and controlled motion, really squeezing at mid-rep. And that mid-rep squeeze is where I tend to feel it the most. So wherever I have that contraction the most, I tend to hold it. So if you feel it the most there, you can go ahead and do partials. Here's a fun one for rear delts. This is behind the back raises. You're gonna grab an easy bar, again with the light weight for rear delts, and you're using an overhand grip, keeping those arms nice and long. Upper body should be about 45 degrees. And as you're doing this, think about keeping that body still and pushing that easy bar away from your knees. And this is gonna help hit those rear delts. By staying light, you're not gonna hit the lats. And as you get to the bottom of the rep, when the bar is close to your knees, try not to stay there too long. Try to keep constant tension on those rear delts. As you get tired, don't use momentum. For this last exercise, we're gonna do front raise partials. And this is the first exercise where we're isolating those front delts. Again, super lightweight here. And you're gonna keep your legs out in front of you just a little bit to give you a little bit longer range of motion. You're gonna raise the bar above parallel. Keep that constant tension on the muscles. So as you lower the bar towards your knees, don't let it rest on your lap. So immediately raise it back up. And think about pushing that weight away from you. Keeping your elbows soft. You don't want them locked out, but you also don't want them bent too much. Nice straight wrists. And you're gonna do as many reps as you can for this last exercise. So it's somewhat of a finisher, and it's only 20 pounds, but it's brutal. So really focus on those last few reps. When you're doing any kind of raise, whether it's with dumbbells or cables, doesn't matter if it's a lateral raise or a rear delt raise, think about pushing that weight away first. So almost think about you're pushing a door open or you're pushing something away versus lifting up. This is really gonna help you engage those delts and not the traps. So a lot of times people say, when I train my shoulders, my traps are so sore, what am I doing? And most of the time it's because you're doing something like this in training. So that's the easiest way, is to think about your cues when you're lifting. And another great way is to switch to those single arm exercises. This way you can really keep an eye on those muscles. You can even video. A lot of people in the gym now are videoing. So get your phone out and you can video, especially on those rear delt exercises. So you can actually see what you're doing until you can make that mind muscle connection and actually see it in your mind. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to click that little bell. You'll be the first to know whenever a new video comes out.